and stuff you don't. It's the Ben and Bren Show.
Oh, hello,
world.
Hey,
Welcome
Benjamin.
to the Ben and Bren Show.
Our inaugural episode.
First episode ever.
We're about to change how you think about everything.
Yep. Especially Benny.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're going to really hate me now.
We thought for our inaugural episode that we would just introduce ourselves one at a time, and starting with Benny today. I'm going to ask him lots of questions.
We're going really in depth at him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
What's your
first
most embarrassing moment?
Yeah.
That's a good. I have a lot of them.
Yeah. No, don't really start with that, please.
Benny, do you miss Jonesboro? Do you miss Arkansas at all?
I wouldn't say I miss Arkansas, but life was, I mean, this probably is in tandem to being a child as well. Life was simple.
Yeah.
Life was super simple. Like out here, so this LA shit, the New York shit,
Yeah.
it's all just like fucking weird.
So Arkansas.
Yeah.
Let's do some bio. What kind of town in Arkansas?
I grew up in a town called Jonesboro, Arkansas. It was about a 50,000 or so person town. So
That's
not
a metropolis.
Yeah, that's a big town.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was big for the
Like, what was
for
the nearest,
region.
like, big city? Like, the only cities I know in Arkansas are Little Rock,
Little Rock.
and Fayetteville.
Yeah,
Those
so
two.
Little Rock
Those are the
is
only two.
That's,
Yeah.
oh, is it? Okay. Yeah.
basically
Right.
only two cities. Period.
And Jonesboro can be counted in a major city for
Right.
Arkansas. I would
yeah,
say.
well, Jonesboro is a college town.
Yeah.
It's got Arkansas State University. There's a lot. It's sort of for the northeast corner of Arkansas. It's where all of the smaller towns come into town. I remember, like when I was in high school, I dated this girl in a smaller town, and when I would go out to that town, like everybody would be like, "Oh, city boy."
Oh yeah, yeah,
From Jonesboro.
yeah.
But so yeah, Jonesboro's northeast Arkansas, Little Rock's pretty central Arkansas, Fayetteville, which is really probably the best part of Arkansas, northwest.
Yeah.
Ozark Mountains, University of Arkansas, Walmart is from there. Got all the Walmart
Love a
money
Walmart.
and infrastructure.
Those Waltons.
Yeah. So yeah, it was an interesting town. There was enough people to where I went to larger high school, was, in marching band, went through the
Yeah, what was the first instrument you ever played?
snare drum.
Wow,
Snare drum. Seventh
God,
grade.
can you imagine your kid learning to play drums on snare drum? I'd kill myself.
Throw it away.
Oh,
yeah,
my
I'd
God.
throw it in the trash.
Did they give you like the
immediately.
black plastic pad at least? So
Yeah.
you
Yes.
hit that, right?
Yeah.
Holy
so
smokes.
yeah, I remember going from 6th grade to 7th grade. I was in my middle school counselor's office, and she was like, "Do you want to be in band?" I was like, "Drums sound like they'd be fun," and so signed up for beginning percussion and got any drummers listening know exactly what I'm talking about. Got this little percussion starter kit. It's a snare drum and a glockenspiel.
Wow.
And
Wait, glockenspiel has notes on it. That's a melodic instrument, right?
yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So, because I didn't go in playing drum set. It was like
I zoned out. It's a combo glockenspiel
Snare
and
drum
a
pack.
snare drum.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you hit the glockenspiel,
no,
activates
not in
snare
the
as well?
same instrument. It's like should invent
It's
that.
like
though.
what kind
Just
of
lay it right
hybrid
on top
shit
of
is
it.
this?
should make that.
Yeah,
No, it was like a snare drum and a glockenspiel
Glockensnare.
Glockenschnare.
Yeah.
TM.
Patent pending.
And it's because you're going into more of like a symphonic type ensemble,
Yeah.
so
Right.
they want you to learn actual notes and like how to play marimba and xylophone and timpani.
That's the first
and-
wave of massive nerves I ever got in my life, was having to do like all state tryouts, and you're in the room with the teacher and you have to like play and sight read, which I was a good sight reader, but I would freak myself
because you were in
out.
percussion too, right?
I did percussion. I was a pianist from age 3, so
Yeah.
I knew how to read
When
the
you got
shit.
to school.
But I'd be like, ding, ding, ding. Oh fuck.
It's well, they're. I don't know if they were for you, but they're like behind a curtain.
thing!
Yeah, behind a curtain. Like
Pay
what-
no attention to the man
What?
behind
Wait,
the
wait,
curtain.
wait,
Wizard of
wait.
Oz
The
style.
judges, the people who
The
are judging your
judge-
ability are behind a curtain?
They're
Yeah.
behind so you don't. So I guess so that you don't get nervous, or maybe
they don't want to see you either because they don't want to have any because they're like local
Impartiality.
In
regional.
case they happen to hate certain races.
Yeah, exactly.
These people. Not
Yes.
in.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's more nerve wracking than just being face to face with someone, like asking you to.
Because everybody's
Wow.
super quiet.
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
like,
and is this universal? Like if you audition for Berkeley or whatever, you think it would be like that?
no.
this
Because
is
when
what's-
I auditioned at the music schools and it's like when you go to college, it's not
Yeah. Not
behind
like
a
that.
curtain.
Okay.
It's
We're
just a
talking
normal-
about like to get in like all state or regional tryouts for like your ensembles groups, right?
it's like every year
You'd
they'll
go to
do
state.
Right.
Yeah.
So you like it's like being the best football player, basically. Like there is like it's a high school
Essentially,
competition
like
where
statewide
you prove
sort
that
of
The
you
bar
are
is fairly low.
you're an elite.
than that.
Yeah, but you're like an elite in the state. At
Yeah.
whatever your instrument
Exactly.
is.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
It starts at the all region level, which is like
the regional part of the state. And then the people, it's probably different state to state,
Yeah.
but in Arkansas, I think it was everybody who made first band, because there was like first band, second band.
Yeah.
Everybody that made first band could audition for all state. And that was in a couple months later. And then, then the all state was the statewide sort of.
I did
elite.
all state band and all state choir, and I was shit at both. I was just like really good at piano.
Oh, that
so-
can't be true. You wouldn't be a host of this podcast.
Well,
Well, I didn't do very good.
I didn't do well, and I
either.
was not a good singer when I was a kid. Like, and then like playing the percussive instruments other than the piano I was okay because I could read music and I understood music, but like, yeah,
I don't think I ever got a first chair.
I didn't. Yeah, I don't think
And,
so. Yeah,
Where are these motherfuckers now?
Yeah, exactly.
They ain't here.
Boom.
they're working
LA,
at Walmart's
baby.
what they're doing. Yeah, yeah, which is a fine institution.
They're hand drumming
They
on
employ
their
a lot
steering
of,
wheel.
a lot of Americans.
I wish they would quit locking up the damn deodorant now. Have you noticed that?
Oh, that's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
And I
It started
hate
with
it.
CVS and the drugstores, which I can understand a little bit.
Do
It's
they
a
even
little-
have Walmart in LA? I've never
There's
seen
one in
Burbank.
Burbank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta hit that up.
Well, I
Yeah.
went to that one recently.
It's kind of weird.
And it's so weird. Everything is behind a glass thing that you have to get someone to come and help you with, which is
Well, at this point,
Not
when I see
readily
that, I'm like,
available.
I'm ordering it online. 'Cause
Exactly.
I'm going to sit here for 20 minutes waiting for somebody to come unlock this damn
this.
thing.
This other woman was waiting to get something with me, and it escalated quickly. I was like, I guess we got to get somebody to do this. She said, I forget what she said, but it was, I immediately knew her political affiliation. I was just like, not going to pry into any more conversation.
Anyway, enjoy your
'cause we're going to
Listerine.
start getting pretty racist pretty quick.
Yeah.
The
And were your parents musical? Did they like encourage us? Did they like what did they play you when you were a kid growing up? What were they into?
My dad was really into like classic rock, Led Zeppelin.
Steely Dan. Steely Dan was my first concert.
So your
that he
dad's a
ever took
white
me to.
guy, right?
Wow.
Oh, for
yeah.
sure.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's a hip first concert.
No, it was. It was.
Yeah.
It was dope. It was It was just when I had started playing drums, my 7th grade year. We went to Memphis, Shelby Farms, saw Steely Dan. It ripped. But so he was really into classic rock. Mom was kind of into a bit of everything. She didn't necessarily always have music on. Neither did my dad necessarily. I didn't grow up in a house where like music was around everywhere.
Yeah,
I didn't
It's like,
either. Yeah.
but I loved music. I particularly loved movies as a kid, and I loved scores without even really recognizing
Same.
that I loved scores. But I loved, especially looking back now and doing scoring, I can see how much I absorbed in those earlier years watching Disney movies and even movies like Forrest Gump. Shout out Alan
Yep,
Silvestri,
yep.
who recently loved Brennan at the Beverly Wilshire.
Wait, score. So like you would listen to this stuff like on its own, like
not-
just the
not-
strings or like just like dramatic like
Not
car chase
specifically,
stuff?
but like I loved the feeling that I would get
It just
from
got
the
in
music
there.
watching a movie.
Right.
Like I wouldn't be watching the movie and be like, oh, maybe on occasion, but like Free Willy, that the Michael Jackson
Oh,
song.
yeah.
I
Right.
think that number one, I think that's my favorite Michael Jackson
Yeah.
song. We saw that in the movie theater, and I was like,
You cried,
I, like,
didn't you?
Probably,
Yeah.
and stood up like in the aisle and like started dancing.
Absolutely,
to-
you did. Yeah.
to that
Wow.
song. So like like vibed really hard with it and just loved the feeling that I would get. And it's funny now, like you're working on a score and you get a copy of the cut with no music.
Right.
And it's crazy how dry feeling it is before you put music to it. And then you put music to it and it's just like the picture comes to life and you get all of the emotion that you aren't. I mean, obviously you have to have a great picture and a great performance and all of that to enhance these emotions with music. But like watching a cut with no music compared to with music, it's just like night and day.
That's why I like to walk around just with a
difference.
little Bluetooth speaker just to kind of score my day, just, walk into the yogurt land, you just play it. Everybody dance now.
Yes.
Or whatever you're feeling.
100%.
I don't know. Maybe you're bumming.
Sometimes it's really annoying, but sometimes I'm like, okay, well, this is a vibe. Thank you for providing music to the people that walk around, especially in New York. This is very common.
New York is a
with the
major
massive,
thing.
like the karaoke machines.
Yeah,
that
and the little
roll.
dolly. Yeah.
And it's just like, speaking of willies, free willies,
free all the willies.
the orcas are going at it. Now,
I was about to
right
say,
now.
how is SeaWorld still a thing? You would think that Free Willy would have killed SeaWorld dead. Like, this is wrong. Let's not keep these
and
majestic
Blackfish, all those-
Blackfish,
yeah.
right. And still going, people are still showing up there.
I guess
and-
their argument is that these animals cannot live outside of captivity because they've been. I mean, that's the argument that I guess a lot of zoos or zoological organizations make is. These are rescued animals, or they're born into it, and that's just the deal.
Yeah, and also, we get to make millions of dollars.
Also,
off them.
we get to make a lot of money.
It's very convenient that you can't put them back in the wild while you're making
when they're
shitloads of money.
born.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess they would have to have a parent when they were born, though.
I mean, I don't
Unless
know.
you're
I feel
cloning
like
them.
a lot of species are pretty self-sufficient, but I don't know. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
ever
the
been to
orcas
SeaWorld?
are. I've been to SeaWorld
SeaWorld.
once. Yeah, once or twice.
Florida?
maybe. I don't know. Probably. Yeah.
There's one in San Diego, right? I think I've been to that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love an aquarium, though.
Oh,
Me too.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love.
Been to the Georgia Aquarium?
No, the best aquarium I've been
Bonkers.
to is the Shed Aquarium in Chicago.
Yeah, I've been to
Oh
Shed.
my
Yeah.
god, that I loved going to that as a kid. It's been a number of years. I would love to go back.
Yeah.
You walk in, and there's this giant cylindrical tank.
Yep.
Full of all the stuff, full of a big reef. There's like divers in there,
Right.
and I'd like walk in as a kid. I'm like,
Yeah.
I need this.
There's a
every
whale.
day.
There's maybe one or two whale sharks in the Georgia Aquarium that are
crazy.
bigger than this room that we're in.
Crazy.
Right now. Yeah, like
I want to like, you see those videos of like people like snorkeling with like
Yes.
whale sharks.
Yes.
I want to do that.
Okay, I have to tell this story. I was in Baja for my first time ever, and I was surfing, and a gray whale and its calf was 30 feet away from me.
Amazing.
30 feet
the
away.
gray whales, they're super social.
Right there. Yeah, I mean, it was insane. It was so crazy. There was
crazy.
one other surfer near me, and when I got out of the water, Ursula was on the beach, and I saw the other surfer down the beach, and I dragged Ursula down the beach to be like, I need you to like confirm
What I
like
just
the
saw.
veracity of how crazy this experience was, because I don't want to just like tell the story in a vacuum and have Ursula be like, yeah, it's probably pretty crazy, but you know.
Did
like,
you go to Taco
storytelling.
Bell right after and have a Baja Blast?
I think we went to Tacos Machine. Yeah. Tacos Machine. Shout out Tacos
Taco
Machine.
like fast food. I feel like we
Taco
may have
Bell's
talked
the best.
Well, Taco Bell
Slaps.
does slap. I also love Popeyes.
Yeah.
Vanessa
Popeyes
gives me
used
shit
to be
about
good. They
Popeyes,
got
but I
bought
love-
by some like huge corporation. I feel like the chicken like went in the toilet.
Right.
Oh,
I don't know.
interesting.
Have you been recently?
Like how recently? Not in like the last year or so, maybe.
Nah,
but
yeah, I think it's been sucking for more like 3 or 4 years. I used to be into. I still like the biscuits, but I used to like the chicken. Used to be like satisfactory to me, and then recently it's had that squiggy kind of rubbery thing.
I'll have to try it
going on.
again.
Yeah.
It's an excuse to try it again.
Maybe we should just go right
get the
now.
chicken strips,
Yeah,
the
we
mashed
should go.
potatoes, and the fries. You dip the chicken and the fries and the mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yeah, but the biscuits, though.
Yeah.
and the biscuit. Oh,
Yeah, with the honey on it. Yeah.
Taco
Damn.
Bell also. But like the aesthetic of all these places has gone so downhill
Yeah.
over the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Like you used to walk into a Taco Bell, there'd be like plants.
Yeah.
Like you
They
walk into
had
Burger
the,
King, the stools would be the
Mariachi
the
band.
And
characters.
remember the Wendy's always had the sunroom with the
yeah,
they had the glass like sunroom area with a bunch of plants and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Look what
it's
they've
nice.
taken from us.
It's
I
a
know.
ni- you
now
know,
it's
a
just
nice
like sterile,
establishment.
corporate, no color.
It's awful.
Yeah.
yeah. You
Just
don't even
sad.
talk to a human anymore. You go up to the screen and order it, touch it. You know,
Right.
touch the screen with
Honestly,
everybody's
that may
grubby
be
hands
a
on it.
little better because
Benny
that
likes
was
that.
The worst part about
Yeah.
fast food was interfacing with the people. And I remember I would get so mad as a kid.
I thought you were going to say so
they'd
stoned. I would
That
get
was later. That was later in
stoned.
life. But when they would get the order wrong,
Mhm.
like you'd get the order, you'd go
Fury.
home,
Fury.
just like rage.
Oh, speaking of fast food, I yesterday I ran into the guy at Yogurtland. I did not go in Yogurtland.
Bren has a long-standing beef with Yogurtland.
There is a long Yogurtland WeHo sucks because of this one person that is miserable. Like I wrote a review on Google recently, and they awarded me $5. Like,
Is that
which-
one yogurt?
That's less than
Less
a
than
yogurt.
one
I mean,
yogurt,
that's
yeah.
a half of a container of yogurt, like with no toppings on it. I
Fuckers.
usually spend, and it's by the weight. My price is usually up to, $10, $12. That's a lot of.
How many followers do you have on social media? Because if you have a bunch, you can shame them online. They'll give you more.
Like 9,500. Yeah.
That could do it.
It could do it.
Yeah.
No, just a miserable person. Anyway, we talked about it in another episode.
We should get him on the pot.
We should get him on the pod. I'm kind of
Duke it out.
Yeah.
It would kind of be amazing if I could just go and be like, look,
I would
wrote.
love for a fight to happen on this podcast.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah.
Like just like
Yeah.
Protect the synths.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
Yeah, careful.
So yeah, Yogurtland. I will still patronize the restaurant, but I just it's a big bummer. It's a big bummer, that I need to have joy, whenever I go and get my creamy treats.
Yeah. Totally. I like joy all the time.
Yeah.
Try to go just only joy.
Yep.
It's hard.
It's
Yeah, no,
difficult.
not really possible, but
Yeah.
It is a valiant goal.
Yeah.
It's a respectable goal, but
even when
quite
you're picking up your
challenging.
dog's shit,
Back to
this
the-
is amazing.
Yeah,
The fat.
I love this.
Amazing.
I love
What a
poop.
shit you just took. Amazing.
It's a
Joy.
miracle.
Yeah.
This is once food.
Yeah, I mean that's the only, your dog is the only one that you're ever just like rewarding with kindness to be like, great job, great job, buddy.
no, it would
Nice
be great
poop."
to be a dog.
Back to fast food. Did you guys ever have, and probably not for you, Dylan, but did you guys ever have in Arkansas? Was there Taco John's down there?
I don't think we had Taco
Taco
John's, but
John's
that is familiar sounding.
is way superior to Taco Bell.
that's a statement.
way.
What about Del Taco? You have a Del Taco?
I have never had it.
like
And
Del
I've
Taco.
lived
That's a
out in
California
LA
thing,
for
yeah.
Yeah, Vanessa
3
thinks
years.
Del Taco is like
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah.
but I like it.
I started following this Twitter account, and I guess it's a website also because it has a .com, but it's called iwaspoison.com. And it's just people writing reports of getting food poisoning.
Yep.
And the amount of Taco Bell, Wendy's, and Burger King are the three heaviest hitters on there.
I mean, to be
Has-
expected.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of makes me. Also, here's the other thing: like how I feel about fast food. I'll eat In-N-Out in California,
Yep.
and then if we're touring and I'm like desperate late night, then like I guess I'll eat McDonald's. But like the way that people shit on and treat fast food workers, and how it just seems like such a like depressing and unvalidated job. I feel like it ensures that your food's gonna be treated like shit also. Like there's how many people are working at Taco Bell and are like taking pride in making your chalupas, So I feel like, I mean, I worked at a restaurant in Oregon for a little bit, and like, things slipped through the cracks, and it was like a, more of a fine dining spot, it was like a independent restaurant. But I just imagine seething with resentment at the Taco Bell corporate hierarchy and making people's chalupas might cause you to do bad things to the food.
Could be. My first
It's kind of
job
paranoid,
was in
but I
fast
don't know.
food.
Which one?
Steak Escape.
Oh yeah.
You made that up. There's no steak escape.
Swear to God.
It's
What?
It's a
It's like
real
a Philly
place.
cheesesteak
Yeah.
sandwich spot.
It's a real place.
I know Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
I love Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wish I would have worked at Steak and Shake.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steak Escape was my first job. Fast food. Started up on the French fries. Made our French fries from the potatoes.
Wow.
So like fairly luxury.
Could you listen to music while you're working back there?
No, I don't think so. But this
well,
is like
they wouldn't have wanted his anyway because it would have been like,
yes, 100%.
would've
But
been
this was
that.
also like, well, I guess the iPod existed then, but it was like pre the era, real major era of earbud listening.
Yeah.
Maybe like the dawn of that.
Isn't it funny that we're hosting a podcast right now, and the only reason it's called a podcast is because of the iPod,
iPod.
and then that the thing is completely archaic,
Yeah.
like gone.
Yeah.
But the term podcast,
That's
continues
I
on.
didn't even really even know that.
Yeah, it's weird.
yeah.
Stemmed
That's
from.
where it came from. There
That
is
makes
one
sense.
fast food establishment though where I think there is a lot of pride and joy, and that is the wonderful Christian establishment at Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
They are
Right.
so nice.
That is true.
Everyone
there
is so nice.
There is a high morale no matter where you go.
And I think it's it's a Christian organization, and I think there's just a little bit of air of cult
Yeah,
there, which is what.
I think In-N-Out is like that also, but it's because
Yeah.
they pay really well.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they like put your hourly wages, like they're always looking for more people, and like the hourly wages are like really impressive for for a fast food work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You go to Chick-fil-A as a gay man?
Did
Did you have to boycott them?
I've only been a couple of times, a handful of times, really. Mainly because there's just like In-N-Out. There's a line out the door all the time. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I can't.
There's so many bigots in line. I'm not getting my chicken.
I don't have half an hour
Right.
to get a chicken sandwich, But I do like it because A, they're nice, and B, they
Delicious lemonade.
it's I can get a good sort of balanced meal, much like Taco Bell. It is on the healthier side if you are going to get trash food.
Oh my god, it's madness.
I know, it's crazy. Well, but they have that cantina menu. It's really, you can be vegan at Taco Bell. Like recently, I just went and got me a bean and cheese burrito. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, but if you're getting a burger
Minus the
somewhere or a
cheese.
fried chicken sandwich or Popeye's fried chicken, that does nothing for me for my gym.
Also, the
progress.
reality is you boycott Chick-fil-A because of their anti-gay whatever message or policies, but like In-N-Out is also controlled by an evangelical Christian
Absolutely.
family. Like
As
the
are
big,
most
Right, yeah, the
corporations.
big corp. I mean, it's like you end up boycotting everything.
Yeah.
You have to move out to a farm in Kentucky and
Yep.
never
Yep.
talk to anyone again.
Yep.
It's this endless cycle, endless loop.
Totally. Wait, so you're into hardcore?
Oh,
Grew up on
Is that
hardcore.
is like
Still love hardcore.
What was the first show you ever played non-scholastic?
I remember, this is when it was never going to be the same. I remember in 9th grade going to a battle of the bands, local battle of the bands at one of the high schools in town. And it was like at this time I remember seeing Slipknot on VH1 Rock or whatever that other channel was, and was just like, what the fuck is this? This is the craziest shit I've ever seen or heard.
And fell in love with Slipknot. That was the first concert of my own choosing that I wanted to go to. My stepdad drove me like
6 hours to go to it. Shout out Jay. It was amazing experience.
To Slipknot.
To Slipknot.
Right, yeah, uh-huh.
And Lamb of God and Shadows Fall opened.
Right.
And it fucking
It
ripped.
does not even compute in my brain as music for me. I just can't even. But I love that you love it so much.
Oh my God.
Do you
Yeah.
ever try to get Bren to listen to it? You ever show him like songs
Oh,
that you think he might like?
100%.
Yeah.
Maybe not things that I think he might like, but
Right.
for sure.
I
But
was
I'm-
listening. When he was listening to that, I was listening to Dean Martin.
Right.
So
yeah, that is pretty far afield.
Then our worlds met.
Yeah.
But I went to this battle of the bands, and there was like these local hardcore bands that played, and me and my buddies from school went, and I was just like, this is who I want to be hanging out with. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I want to be doing. Like, I need to.
figure out a way into doing this. And like I remember like headbanging at this show.
Did you already have like a drum kit? Like were you already playing drum kit at that point?
I did, because I was obsessed with Joey Jordison and Slipknot.
Right,
and
okay,
so
yeah,
it was like,
Had the big ass drum set, had the double kick, but was just playing on my own. Hadn't been in any bands outside of school
Right.
at this point. And then after that show, me and my buddies started this band, and like we would have band practice. And I remember the guitar player, I think in hindsight, I think he felt like so much pressure and anxiety from like trying to write music. And like he like just like kind of could, but was also like folding from the pressure of trying to write music. So we like never really actually made any songs, but we like tried to. Like they would come over on the
just
weekend.
a riff and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. And we never really
got past that point. But then the first actual band I had, I had been hanging out in this local scene and like
going to these shows and just loving it, like moshing and just doing all of that. Like my 14-year-old heart just could not get enough of it. I was like, oh, this is a place where I can take out all of my suppressed anger and anxiety and stress and have fun doing it.
And paintball.
I was
A
was
good
mad
outlet.
at
Paintball and
too.
Slipknot.
Yeah.
Excellent combination.
Oh, I mean, when we opened this podcast, going back to the simpler times, these times they were great times, and I miss I do miss
Treasure
that.
your youth.
Treasure your
Yeah,
youth,
truly.
guys.
Treasure.
Take
You'll never
advantage of
get
it
it
right
back.
now. Yeah, go all the way in.
That's part of the reason why I'm going back to the lake. It's just that reminiscent of where I grew up. It's
Yeah.
like, that's why I loved it so much, I think. Yeah.
But this band, eventually we're hanging out in this scene, and a couple of these dudes who had been in the scene who were a little bit older, they asked me and one of my buddies if we wanted to join this band. And
You got
I was,
drafted.
I was like so stoked. I was like, I can't believe these. I thought these guys were like, they are legends, but I was like so impressed. And like,
What was the band called?
This World, This Grave.
Yeah.
I dig it. I can see
Yeah.
that. Uh-huh.
That's great.
It was great. It was great. And we were a actual band and had a good number of songs, played a bunch of shows, and loved it. This was before I had my driver's license, so my parents we would like have like the football game on Friday that I would do the marching band for. Then we'd schlep the drums into the car and go play the show at the
Giggin'.
local church or whatever.
Giggin'.
Because it was all Christian. Like it was all like,
Wow, Christian hardcore.
yeah, I mean, but kind
The
of
best kind.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But in
Oh
the
my
sense
God.
of like, the only places we really could play were like churches and
Right.
like community centers and things like that.
That's
like there
badass.
was one venue or two, and one of them closed, and then this so the performance space access was pretty limited.
But was your band Christian? Like, are you a Christian?
I am,
Not to go too deep here.
I am not a Christian now. I grew up Catholic.
I think we labeled ourselves as a Christian band, and I think there may have been some kind of Christian-y lyrics, but like, again, like a lot of it wasn't really genuine. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like what everybody is in this
You gotta fit in
community,
like
so
this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
It wasn't like
A passionate. We weren't sitting around talking about Jesus,
Right,
put it
yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like on that level.
Who are the biggest Christian hardcore bands?
So
I don't know if they were how much they fronted this, but do you remember the band As I Lay Dying?
Yeah, okay, that's who
so
I was
they
thinking.
were
Yeah,
a
right.
Christian band. I don't know if you know the
And
story.
somebody killed somebody?
The singer
Right.
hired a hitman
Yeah,
to kill
I have heard
his
this story.
wife.
There it is.
Yeah.
And the hitman was a cop.
It's always a cop. It's
It's
always
always
a
a
cop.
cop.
You can't get, unless you're like connected to organized crime or something, don't hire a hitman
Yeah.
on the internet.
Just
It's
do it
always
yourself.
the FBI. Yeah, it's just every time.
You got to get a hatchet, and
right.
you just got to
gotta
do
do
it
it
yourself.
Hell's Angels
If you want a job
hitmen
done
are
right,
not hanging
you
out
gotta
on
do it
message
yourself.
boards online. You're not going to find them there.
No.
All right?
No.
Yeah. Like,
No. But yeah, so I remember seeing As I Lay Dying in this era. It was an epic show.
Memphis honestly has historically
Yep.
a legendary, incredible hardcore scene.
Yep.
Like I remember going to some of these shows when I first started going to shows in Memphis. I was like scared. I was
Yeah.
like, this isn't Jonesboro hardcore.
Yeah.
This is like people are beating the shit out of each other.
Oh,
on
so
the
there's
floor.
there's violent You get violent in the
in the
in
pit.
the
Spin
pit.
kicks.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah, roundhouses.
yeah.
And
I mean,
it-
those are the only times.
Is
I've
it
like
like all love? Like, yeah, we're just hitting each other because it's fun.
it's like
or-
a brotherhood kind of thing. There was a couple moments
Until
where
it goes a step too far.
Well, those are
Right.
the only times where I've actually like kind of gotten into like a fight situation.
Wow.
Like I've never been in a fight just like out in the public, but like at a show, like I hit somebody and they take it the wrong way, and everybody gets up in each other's faces. And,
Imagine. Wow.
oh, it was
Okay, whoa!
amazing.
Did you hear this? There, 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago, there's this band. Fuck, I don't remember what they're called. They're from Australia. They're on Hopeless Records. You know, I think they're like a hardcore / punk band, whatever, post-hardcore band. And first song, they're playing at this venue in Buffalo. First song, the singer, who is apparently 6'6" or tall, big dude, front flips into the first row and landed on this
Neck?
19-year-old
Oh.
chick and paralyzed her.
damn.
Yeah. And so then there's a lot of talk of culpability. Like, should you know what kind of show you're at? I mean, this is stage diving and moshing, as we're talking about, is an important part of the
it's
culture.
part of that
Full
whole
Yeah,
thing.
paralysis.
And it has been for
Right.
40.
Apparently,
plus
it's
years.
bad. Yeah, I haven't looked into it since I read like the New York Post article, but yeah,
That
Golly.
sounds.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's probably not the first time. That
As
something
Right.
like
Yeah,
that
certainly not.
lay
Yeah.
dying. Fuck.
Steve Aoki did this also. Steve Aoki, not a hardcore artist. I don't know if you know this.
Not quite the same.
Yeah,
vibe.
he had a bit where he threw an inflatable raft out in the crowd, and then he would jump from the
Right.
DJ riser into it, and he landed on some chick's head and paralyzed her also.
Of course he did.
Yeah, but I think Steve Aoki, you can definitely get on the horn for some millions of dollars. He's a
Yeah,
rich
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
this
The hardcore
this
bands.
hardcore band from Australia.
Got
it's
empty
going to be a
pockets.
GoFundMe scenario.
Yeah.
Like.
yeah, a little tough to squeeze that one.
Did you ever get hurt though, swinging your fists around, or
Nothing
catch one
like
in the eye?
crazy. I mean, definitely got a good number of punches and kicks to the head and torso.
Yeah.
but like loved it. Like it was like it's just like a angsty teenager, like just, and all these other people feel the same way. But no, Memphis shows were gnarly.
Benny was doing that, and I was smoking fake cigarettes in my mom's high heels, listening to
What's a
Judy
fake
Garland.
cigarette?
Oh, the little candy
Oh,
ones.
the candy ones.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. Sitting at the home, just.
But that was
oh
also
boy, I'm lucky. Oh, yeah,
that was also when I started listening to jazz, though.
yeah.
The first jazz record that I had that I was really like, whoa, was Coltrane's "A
Right.
Love Supreme," which has
Yep.
since turned into a tattoo.
Yeah.
You must love Dillinger Escape Plan then, right?
I definitely
Because
fuck
isn't that
with
kind of a
Dillinger.
jazz hardcore band?
Yeah, they were
right?
like more proggy.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I was into like all of that shit. Metal, hardcore, punk. Like the heavier the better.
Couldn't be farther from it. Yeah. Yeah.
We don't get you.
Yeah.
Actually, I was totally also. I was in an emo band. I the screaming thing just never really appealed to me. There's certain
sounds so
songs.
painful.
Yeah, there's songs I can get down with, but in general, I don't like listening to screaming. But
There was a band that I did vocals for that I screamed.
Yeah.
in
Whoa.
high school.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm the Catalyst was
The name of that band.
Did you enjoy singing, or do you like?
I loved it.
Really?
I loved it. I mean, I wasn't singing. I was screaming.
Right, yeah.
I was like full on gutturally.
Did that not hurt so bad after?
It would today.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I would like go around. My mom and Jay, they would crack up right now if they were here, like telling the stories of this. I would just be walking around the house, like,
Screaming. Yeah. Yeah.
just like
Wow.
practicing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I had very supportive parents.
Yeah.
Very supportive parents. I was really, really lucky. Like I said, I didn't come from like a home where like I sat on my parents' lap behind the drum set, but like they were all like whatever I wanted to get into, they were 110% like there behind me to support and push it along and whatever.
And
way
when
they
you were
could.
like done it with high school, like was it a consideration? Like maybe I'll just try to be a drummer in the hardcore scene and start touring or whatever.
No.
Or did you know that you wanted to go to college? And
No, I knew I wanted to go to college. I didn't know I wanted to go to music school until later. I thought, I just, again, for being from Arkansas, being removed, like I'm not from these entertainment towns. Like I was like, there's no way. I don't know how to make a career out of this. Like it's just, that doesn't even seem possible. Like it
were there
wasn't
any
even-
Memphis bands that had national notoriety?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, national like is relative, but like
Right.
yeah, like in that scene, 100%, a good
Right.
handful, and especially over the course of the years too. But no, I thought like I would go to college for business and open up a drum shop. Like that was like my first thing. I was like, oh yeah, I'll just like in Memphis. There's an internationally recognized store called Memphis Drum Shop that like I would go to as a kid. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. I want to open up a store.
Pretty
like this
legendary,
one
yeah.
day.
It sounds awful to me. People come in testing all the cymbals. ding, 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 ding.
They have a performance space up
Oh,
top.
they have
too
like
that-
clinics
Yeah.
from people all. It's a real international.
Yeah, we used to do gigs there in
yeah,
University
it's
of Memphis,
Incredible
yeah.
store.
Yeah.
Incredible store.
So then you both ended up at University of Memphis.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's
like
where we met.
end of high school, I was like, you know what? I love this. I'm gonna give this a go. I want to go to music school. I want to, figure out a way to do this. It was like my senior year where it really clicked, where I was like, I'm gonna really buckle down and like practice really diligently and commit myself to this, and then went to University of Memphis, and that's where we met.
And you have to do you pick an instrument? Like, was it drum kit or how do you
Just
specialize?
percussion, right?
It depends
Yeah.
what program you go into. I went into the jazz program, which is like drum set centric.
Yeah.
If you go into classical, it's more like classical percussion, timpani, marimba,
Right.
snare drum. That I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do classical. That wasn't my vibe. I like I said, I had gotten into jazz later in high school, and that's what I wanted to do. And
Which, thank God.
Yeah, really.
Jazz.
got into that was what brought us together.
Yeah.
Actually, what actually brought us together were 80s power pop jams, our 80s cover band that we would rip Memphis up with.
Yeah.
Party band
Major party band,
Rockosaurus
maybe the
Rex.
biggest party band
ever.
ever.
Yeah,
We-
probably ever.
We were hot on the town for like 2 years.
We
And
came in
we came in
fireball.
hot. We came in hot. We were doing all the college parties.
How many piece band?
2 guitars, bass, keys,
You got any horns?
drums, vocals.
Not
we did
horns.
like a couple gigs
Couple
with
gigs
like
with horns.
horn
Right.
guests,
Didn't.
but like 6-piece band
Right.
basically.
Gotcha.
We were all music students.
Yep.
But like down to hang also. Like
Yeah.
not nerds, but also like
but also
get
nerds
down
and nerded
party.
out on the music, like arrangement to the T.
Right.
Like played all of the solos the
But
same.
everybody was getting fucked up.
yeah.
kind of.
Could you get
yeah.
good money? Were you already making decent money?
We
I
didn't
don't
make
know,
much
maybe
money.
a
No,
couple
yeah.
bucks
Probably.
each of us a gig. Like,
Yeah.
At the
Our accolades
Top.
include being nominated for Best Local Band in the Memphis Flyer.
That ain't nothing. Yeah.
That ain't nothing.
Is that
Yeah.
that's Memphis's like alt weekly? Like,
It's their
Yeah.
all
Right,
weekly.
okay, uh-huh.
Yep. And so there was that, and then we also, I believe the one other thing of note, we played at this place called the Blue Monkey. It's a legendary historic bar in Memphis. It's been around for 30, 40 years, and I remember George, the owner, telling us one night he fucking loved us, and
Everybody did.
And we did Halloween, I think, one year,
Yeah.
and it was we
Maybe
had
a
a
couple
costume
years.
contest, all
Yeah,
that stuff.
uh-huh.
Line out the door to get in, and at the end of the gig, George was like, "This is the most alcohol we've ever sold." And
wow.
that
is
was the
good.
effect that we
Put
had.
that on my tombstone.
yeah.
Do you ever do a Halloween tribute act where you dress up like the band and only do their songs? Like,
Oh no,
No,
we
we've
didn't
never
do
done
that.
that.
I've seen a
We never
couple
did
of
that.
those.
We just did a variety of. It was mostly 80s music. Occasionally, we had a couple of 90s tunes in there that we would do. But yeah, it was just extreme nostalgia from before we were even kids. You know that.
But just songs
music.
like everybody
Journey
fucks with.
and,
like
you know, Billy
just
Squier
the,
and-
the greatest hits
Yeah.
of hits, and so everybody's gonna go on. And like we had a lot of energy. We were great performers.
I would get coked to the gills.
Oh my
We were
god.
all in our early 20s, late teens. Like
It's awful. It's
I
awful to
can't
think
imagine
about.
doing a show on coke. I've done a show on some drugs, coke. It's
Well,
like, you
it
got to do
wasn't-
it every 20 minutes.
It wasn't.
How many breaks do you have to take?
It wasn't always that. I just, towards the end there, it was the beginning stages of my very serious meth addiction.
Right.
And it was getting pretty bad there towards the end. In fact, there's a video that we had shot that I've still scared to watch. The DVD that I have in my car
God,
that
we
we
gotta find a
have to
DVD
watch.
player.
And I remember that show just being like all right, let's get through this.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like not sounding good. I never really sounded good back then. I don't think.
Well,
Like
because at least meth is like longer acting, right? Like you could do a line, you'd be good for like an hour long set.
And I
right?
didn't do lines of meth. I smoked it. So, and let me tell you what. If you want to sing well, smoke a little bit of meth.
No,
because
kids,
don't do that. Don't do that at all, actually. But I will say, of when I was on it, there were some placements and some riffs and some things that it definitely, I hate to say it,
Came from deep down.
It enhanced. It was like,
Or is that how it was
that's how the
perceived?
memory. Yeah, Benny was there. He wasn't on meth.
No, I listen. I would listen back and I would be like, "Damn, I sounded really good on that gig." Yeah, and
We got to pull up. We got to find a DVD player.
it's like the same effect happens, and I know what it is. It's almost a steroidal effect, right? Whenever I've had like not a Z pack, but whatever you call it, prednisone.
Yeah.
You used to get the little punch out pills when you're sick. I hoard those when the doctor prescribes them. I don't take them all if I'm a little sick, and so I still have some at the house. So if I have like a big gig and like that, I really want to just like that I need to blast it for a little prednisone, pop a little prednisone, a little steroid. It'll kick you up a notch.
Yeah, see,
like,
I went.
to
Yeah,
get-
I was a heroin addict for all of my 20s, pretty much, and that shit hollows your voice out terrible.
yeah, I'm
you know,
sure,
you're like
yeah.
all sucked in. It's like really deep. It gives you vocal fry. You can't project.
Totally.
You know,
Coke does the same
would
thing to your
suck.
vocal cords. Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like not a good mix at all. I don't think smoking weed's very good. You know,
It's horrible.
my current ritual is like 2 drinks.
Yeah.
2 drinks an hour and a half before show. That's like pretty much what I've been doing
just
for
to
years
take
now.
the edge off.
Yeah.
Absolutely, completely get that. Yeah,
Don't drink
But
citrus.
no citrus, no dairy.
Yeah, right.
No,
Yeah, it's
dairy
gotta be.
will fuck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
weed too. Yeah, I don't really smoke weed
No, it
that
doesn't
much
work either,
anymore.
yeah.
I mean, and if I've got to sing too, like absolutely not.
Yeah,
Like it's
get in
yeah.
your own head and stuff.
Yeah.
What about playing drums? So, drug enhancements?
Well, I was sober for all of those years.
Sober
as a
those
judge.
early years.
No
I
way.
was a straight edge,
You were straight
little
edge.
punk rocker.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You got any straight edge tats?
No, thank God.
Nice. Yeah. I know some people with straight edge
that
tats
wouldn't have
who
aged
aren't straight
well.
edge anymore. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, I was sober during those earlier years, and then
When did you break your edge?
I got to New York.
Right. Okay.
So
So,
I
graduated Memphis.
Well, I did not graduate. I dropped out about halfway through to go on tour with this pop group who I had started playing with, and we actually were supposed and eventually did, but we had this tour planned, which is what I dropped out of school for, to open for Drake Bell.
Drake Bell.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's
I was,
so. Who are you playing with?
I was playing with this group called Memphis High. They were these 2 young kids. Oddly enough, Lucas Keller from Milk and Honey managed them, and I met Lucas 15 years ago almost, and he was like the first person in the music business that I ever really met, and he had found them online and signed them as a manager, and
How young is young? How old were they?
they were in high school still.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And you were in college.
Yeah, I was like 20, 21.
Right.
And so I started music directing and playing drums for them, and I dropped out of school to go on this tour. Tour gets canceled.
Wow.
So I'm like, fuck.
How come?
I can't remember. Like something
Lack of ticket sales?
probably
Right,
like
yeah,
in hindsight.
Right.
In hindsight.
Yeah.
Well, fast forward, we eventually did do a smaller tour with him, and I thought in my naivete,
oh, Drake Bell, he was on this TV show. Like, he's super famous. Like, these shows are going to be huge. There's going to be all sorts of people there. We play this string of shows in the Northeast. Nobody is at these shows. Like,
Oh dear.
nobody comes out to these shows.
Yeah, it's not a guarantee with the crossover actor musician thing.
No,
Sometimes it works. I mean, who's
No.
like the most successful actor turned musician? I'm trying to think of like who has done it.
Miley Cyrus.
Miley's, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But she was
No.
kind of both from the beginning.
but that's Miley's also like one of the biggest
Extremely talented.
stars, period.
A musical
Like,
father.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
it was so that was my first lesson. I was like, oh, I see. Okay, so this isn't all that
Yeah.
simple.
Did you like touring though immediately?
No, I did early on. I did in those early years just because I didn't have anything holding me down.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
brand
just
new.
fun getting to a van with a bunch of homies and run around and get into stupid shit. And so then I moved to Nashville for about a year, gave that a shot. Long story short, it was not a
Hated it.
love connection. Yeah, it was not my vibe. And when I was there, I was like, I still have room to finish my degree. I've always wanted to go to New York, and like, because by the time we were in Memphis, I was like jazz nerd. I'd kind of like
left the punk rock hardcore thing behind and was like epic jazz guy now, like just like ripping the jazz. And so always heard about these stories and people coming out of Manhattan School of Music, Juilliard, New School, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, it'd be really cool to like go have that experience and just see what it's like. And if, can I even get in? I don't know. Like, I'm just this kid from Arkansas. That's like something I've always dealt with, was just like feeling like the outsider. I even can still feel that way today. Just like the person that's like, oh, I'm just like this dude from Arkansas. Like, these people are from wherever. Like,
If you, this is going back to how we opened the show, but if you, I mean, I'm from suburban Connecticut, which, you know, is like close to New York. So, you know, I live 2 hours from New York, and I totally felt exactly the same way. And when I got to college and I met people who actually grew up in actually New York City or actually LA, I felt so culturally behind them.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
they knew all these cool bands that I didn't know. Like, they had already done all the drugs that I had not done.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
they were just like had a level of sophistication that definitely scared and intimidated me. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, you hope to kind of like file that feeling down over the years. And,
Well, you
know.
eventually find out that everybody's full of shit and doesn't fucking know
Right. Yeah.
anything.
And
Like,
also,
these
I mean,
people
your
have made-
influences and references. Who cares? How good are you?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like most of that is just because they were in an environment where there was more exposure to those things.
Right.
It doesn't make them any different of a human being than somebody that grew up in the middle of nowhere. And so I applied to these schools like, oh, we'll see if I can even get in. I don't know. And got into New School and NYU
Bula bula.
and was like, oh, I'll try. I loved Robert Glasper and all these other jazz guys, Brad Meldau, who all went to New School. So I was like, I want to go to the New School. Should have gone to NYU probably. It all worked out fine. Like, through New School, like, was exposed to great things that did end up changing my life. Not necessarily related to the New School, but in tandem. And so moved up there and was at the New School, and that was when I really just got to New York, and just I immediately I was like, this is what I've been waiting for.
Pretty cool.
Almost my whole
New York,
life.
New York.
Yeah,
if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere.
Yes.
The Big Apple. Hey, I'm walking here. A pizza. New York City.
Yeah, it was like immediately like I felt so at home.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it was like, this is even like, you know, the punk rock history. Like, New York is like where punk rock in America started.
St. Mark's. 53rd and 3rd.
Yeah,
Didi
straight
Ramon.
up.
Whored himself out.
Hell yeah.
Wait, so can I ask, when you go to like the New School to be a music person, to be a musician, are you like, what's class like? Are you just playing music during class? Or are you also like reading books about music, or like what's it?
It depends. I came in with a lot of credits that transferred, luckily, like various gen ed classes. And when you go in, because you have to take ear training classes, you have to take music theory classes. And I came in with a bit of that knowledge already from Memphis. Going into Memphis, I didn't know anything. Like, my first semester was like intro to music theory. I didn't know shit. But through Memphis, Memphis, I learned a ton. I learned way more academically at Memphis than I did the New School. The New School, I was sort of just exposed to the city more. And so I came in and I tested out of a handful of the theory classes that I already knew and the ear training classes. But you've got like piano classes, you've got ensembles, you've got theory classes, you have
So it is all like totally practical music knowledge. There's no like, you're not reading
Generally.
Moby Dick or anything.
I mean, in the
like
gen
that.
ed classes, I did have to take one literature class to fulfill my
Right.
gen ed, and I took a Shakespeare class, and I almost was expelled from school as a result of that class. I cheated with a paper.
Oh
and
no!
I got busted.
Pre-Chat GPT.
Yes.
Really?
This is so
You're just
dumb.
harvesting paragraphs off the internet?
So basically the story was my buddy, my best friend at the time, still one of my best friends, but we were like inseparable for those years. A guy named Sapphire, shout out Sapphire. If anybody's seen the Subway Sax video on YouTube, have you seen the Subway Sax
Yeah,
video
you
on
showed it to
YouTube?
me.
Yeah, so that's Sapphire. We got into all sorts of stuff. We were just thick as thieves, running around, making music, just doing dumb shit. And this was I think my last semester at New School, second to last semester. And I was in this Shakespeare class, and I originally signed up for it. I was like, oh, this should be interesting. Like this, I've like Shakespeare class, whatever. And the teacher was terrible, just so dry. And like, I was checked out. I was like, I want to like establish myself as a musician in New York. I don't care about school. And Sapphire had dropped out at this point, and I had to write this paper, and I really didn't want to do it. And I was asked Sapphire, I was like, I'll like mix some songs for you if you write this paper for me. He pays somebody else to write the paper.
Oh dear.
And
I used to see these Craigslist ads sometimes in New York being like $40 to write my term paper on Asian cinema, East Asian cinema or something. Yeah.
And he gets somebody else to write the paper. I get it. I'm like, whatever. I turn it in. I get a shit grade on it. And I'm in the elevator with one of our mutual friends, and I'm like bitching about how like, and there's other people in the elevator, and I'm like bitching about how like, yeah, I had Sapphire write this paper.
Oh wow!
Like,
No way! And there's like a faculty member in there. Wow!
One of my counselors,
Holy
or one of the
smokes.
jazz school's counselor was in the elevator.
And then what? You just got the worst email of your life, basically.
I get an email that's like, come to my office tomorrow or whatever. I'm like, weird. And I go in, and he just like rips me a new one, like goes in on me, like, and kind of like personally, like he was like, I don't remember exactly what he said. Fuck that dude, Martin, whatever the fuck your name is, you're a fucking bitch. You suck. And he like really laid into me like personally, and he was like, said something like I could expel you for this.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God, like my family is going to literally murder me. And he was like, well, I'm going to tell the professor, and then we'll figure out what to do next. So I leave. Me and my mom throughout my life have always also been thick as thieves. I've shared everything with her, and I called her. I was like, this just happened. What do I do? Like, what do you think I should do? And she was like, get a hold of your professor before your counselor does.
Yeah.
Get in touch with him. Tell him what happened.
Good.
Tell him you'll do whatever you need to do.
Good, Mom.
To
gotta own up to
mend
it.
the situation. Yeah. And I did. And he was basically just like, if you come to the rest of the classes and do the remainder of the work, you'll pass. And I think I passed with like a C. And I don't know if the dude ever got in touch with I don't know if the counselor, I never really heard more. But that dude, I was like, yes, I fucked up 100%, take accountability for that. But he was a bitch ass motherfucker when he was laying into me. And I was like,
let's just be honest. I mean, Bill Shakespeare is just, it's not for me.
It was probably good for the time.
It was great at the time, and
I can't understand it, frankly.
I can't understand.
I really can't.
It. And what my best friend Claire, she's so good at Shakespeare dramas, and I've seen her work before. And when I go to see her in it, I'm like, this is awesome. Like she's like killing it.
If I see the play,
I don't know what's going on.
Right,
though.
yeah.
I can't. Thou wouldest. I cannot.
Yeah. And there's these jokes that I just don't, I hear other people like
jokes
tittering
don't land
and
quite as
chuckling.
well
Yeah,
these
I'm just
days.
like, what was funny about that? I don't get it.
I cannot.
I like the Leonardo DiCaprio movie.
And well, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a huge liberal, but
Mm-hmm.
I just can't get behind that. Not for me.
Yeah, it's a little dated.
Yeah.
It's a little dated.
Yeah.
But
It's only 4 centuries.
yeah, so yeah. New school, it was interesting. You know, it was like going to school with like Gigi Hadid and like Lady Gaga's little sister.
Whoa, wait,
and,
Gigi
like,
Hadid was there?
or it was around or something. It was like, because like Parsons is like a big fashion school.
Right.
and
Wait, so
that's
how
part of the
close
new
were
school.
you with Gigi Hadid?
We dated.
Right, yeah, okay. So that's what I was expecting to hear. And then did you graduate?
I did graduate.
Right. What
Graduated,
year?
did not get expelled. I graduated like literally exactly 10 years ago, the spring of 2014.
Right. And then are you gigging during school or like
Gigging throughout school,
Right.
playing all with as many people as I can, going to all the jam sessions, and it was so fun. Like it was just such a great time in my life. And
jazz or hardcore? Or
no
both?
hardcore, no hardcore. I actually haven't done any hardcore since my youth.
Do you still listen to hardcore?
Yeah, I love it. And but like jazz, hip hop, jazz,
Pop groups.
electronic. This
Right.
is like the wave of like EDM too,
Right.
and like when James Blake was first popping off.
You play with anybody notable during this period?
Not really.
Alexander Hamilton. Ever heard of him?
Oh,
Well, that came shortly after. So I was playing with this group called Twin Tapes in New York.
And we were a really cool band. It was like
Live electronic dance music.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
there was no tracks.
Like what's it called? Disco Biscuits? Aren't they like that?
I'm not sure. But it was like a James Blake kind of setup.
Right,
Like,
okay, yeah,
It
gotcha.
was like the singer was running a drum machine that was MIDI synced to the keyboard player's synths, and I was getting a clock from the drum machine, and I was playing pads, but there was no laptop. It was all like organically produced electronic music.
and it was a really cool band. We played all sorts of fun shows around New York. And I was like getting into like
The electronic stuff, and like I was running tracks doing other bands and things, and so had like sort of my foot in the door just on a passionate sort of level on doing electronic things with drums and things like that, and that's sort of how Hamilton came to be. Was I had
made some friends kind of in the Broadway community, trying to get work playing on shows just because I wanted some gigs, and met people, but nobody asked me to do anything. Nobody asked me to sub for them, which is what I was trying to do. But then 2.5 years into living in New York, I get a call from one of my buddies, Sean McDaniel, who's a really respected Broadway drummer. He's like, hey, there's this gig I want to recommend you for. Can you send me some videos, recordings? Sent it over, didn't think anything about it. And then I get a call from Alex Lackamore, who is the music director of Hamilton and since has done a zillion things. And he was like, told me about the gig. And at this point, nobody knew what it was. Nobody knew anything about Hamilton. Like,
nobody barely even knew who Lynn was. If you knew about In the Heights, if you were like into Broadway like that, you like might know about him through there. But like,
So you were there on the ground level. Like did you
Before the
play
ground
the
level.
first Hamilton show on Broadway?
workshop.
off Broadway,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
It was off. You
Broadway.
start off Broadway.
Yeah, we were off. We were.
What
at
does
the
that
public-
mean exactly, off Broadway?
We were. I mean,
Like
there's-
around the corner from Broadway? or
Well,
like
we were down at the
downtown?
public theater.
Oh, okay.
Down to like Joe's Pub
Right,
downtown.
yeah, gotcha, okay.
And
So that's where it
I
started.
think it still means an equity situation, but just not in the traditional
Yeah.
Broadway
Not
theater.
yeah,
like
we're
on
not getting
42nd
paid
Street or whatever,
very
yeah,
much money. Like we're getting paid like a little bit, but like not much.
Oh, okay.
Especially not compared to Broadway.
Yeah.
And
And then does it start getting buzz immediately?
immediately
Right,
after
yeah,
the
uh-huh.
first show. I
Yeah.
think like Tom Hanks was at the first show or something, and I was like, holy shit. And again, this is the first thing that I've really done that's like the only thing before that really is like playing with like some jazz musicians and like opening up for Drake Bell.
Boy,
Like,
that was
Right.
a really missed opportunity for Chet Hanks
Yeah.
getting that show.
Yeah, they could have got him in there.
got
Jamaican
him in
accent and all. I could figure what
that
part
dude
could he
cracks
have
me
done.
up.
Yeah. Chet Hanks as the King of England.
That
would be funny,
That would
right?
be, well, but he sings, so that would have been
Yeah.
we would have needed to see Chet Hanks rapping.
Rapping.
Right.
Speaking of, just sorry to sidebar for a second. We Dylan and Ursula and I the other night were watching YouTube videos, and everyone should Google Cyndi Lauper's son.
Oh yeah.
Dex.
Oh.
Dex.
I think it's Dex.
This sounds
Dex
good.
Lauper.
This sounds good.
Oh dear.
Oh dear
Oh, no.
God.
Oh no.
I gotta watch this.
Oh my.
He seems to think he's a gangster trap rapper,
Yes.
but it doesn't really add up in my head.
It's really bizarre. What is wrong with some of these people?
I don't know, and he had every
but
advantage. He was the
honestly
hippest
am
mom
here
around.
for it.
Although you know what, like maybe he was just ahead of his time because I see all kinds of bullshit white rappers succeeding these days.
For a second.
Who's that guy? Ian. There's some dude Ian who just like got a scathing Pitchfork review for whatever.
No.
That guy Mike Stud. You ever heard of this dude?
Yeah,
Mike
from back in the
Stud.
day. I haven't heard that name in a
Loathsome.
minute.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, he's like frat rap.
Yeah.
Dated
this was,
Jose Canseco's daughter.
right around this time, like 10 years ago, is kind of when the frat rap thing was like.
Yeah. What was
there
that guy
the other
with
dude?
the
Sammy
school-
Adams is another
he had
one.
he had like the rap about school. Fuck, what is that dude's name? He was like kind of a one-hit wonder.
Hoodie Allen. There's another one.
Hoodie Allen's white.
I think so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
the
Dex
things that I
Lauper.
dig.
Whoa.
Yeah, I gotta check this dude out.
I love untalented children of really
man.
talented people.
it's-
That are
I
the best.
live for it.
Yeah.
I love cringe.
I think Marvin Gaye's son also like it has some of the worst like
Oh, damn.
neo
That's
soul shit you've ever heard.
Oh yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah. Wait, so how long until you're on Broadway? How many like shows or
We opened January 2015 off Broadway, closed off Broadway in May, and we started previews on Broadway in July.
Wow.
So it was pretty quick.
You must
It
have been
was pretty quick.
so juiced.
Oh, I was on cloud 10. Like
Yeah.
it was such a crazy that period, like 2015 to 2017 or so, was just like this. How is all of this happening? Like this is crazy.
Because you're like 23, 20.
It's like 25.
Right, yeah,
I started 24. It was like 25, 26. Those first.
Well,
few
it was
years.
the Lord rewarding you for all your screaming for him.
straight up.
Totally.
Yeah, I mean,
All those
That's all that
paradiddles
was.
you were practicing on your black pad at home.
Yep.
had the
Coming
Bible
back.
next to me.
So what are you playing down there in the pit? What,
So that kind of ties into what I was saying earlier. Like the reason I got asked to do this, because there's a lot of Broadway drummers that Alex knew that he could have asked, but they needed kind of a specific thing. They needed somebody that could run Ableton, the music playback software, and as well as play some keyboard stuff, which I could play a little bit of piano, and as well as kind of not just play the electronics, because I'm playing like
I always tell people everything on the record and on whatever that doesn't sound like a human is what I'm doing.
Right,
Like all the drum machine stuff, all the sound effects, like that's generally coming from my chair.
so you're like hitting sampler pads with drumsticks and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then running Ableton at the same time, playing
Right.
keyboards. And I kind of fit this niche, and not just being able to do it, but also I knew the vocabulary of all of it, like
Right.
musically. Like I knew how to play that stuff and make it sound authentic and good and real. And so I sort of fit this niche that Alex couldn't really find with the other people that he knew in the Broadway world.
yeah.
And so that's where my little 24-year-old fresh off the boat ass kind of slid in.
You're
It's like,
in.
yeah, I can do this. I can.
Wow.
This
And then all of a sudden you're on Broadway doing how many shows a week? Like once you're there.
there was 8 shows a week. On average, I would probably do 6 or 7 of them.
And then you'd have someone sub for you on.
Yeah, I had a number of subs over the course of the years.
Wow.
Great drummers. And that's always great too, because it's like you can take time off, you can give work to
Right.
other people.
Yeah.
And
And you're like in the union, like you're getting paid really good all of a sudden. Is it just
Yeah.
like completely life changing once you get to Broadway?
completely life changing.
Wow.
Like got like a dope crib
Right.
downtown. Like, went from making no money. I mean, I didn't get rich, but like
Right,
I was
yeah.
like,
What was it a week? You mind sharing?
How
Like,
much
if-
money?
it
What-
was
what is
probably
it? Is it-
about like I don't remember exactly. It was I think it
2
was
Gs?
No, it was probably about 3.
Okay.
It was
That's
probably
great.
it was
Pretty
probably like
fucking
150 grand a year.
Right.
Wow.
Share. It's for like a 24-year-old. 20. I'm
I've
like,
never made that
I'll
music.
fucking,
Man.
I'll fucking do that.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Jesus.
Plus union, so you had healthcare, you had stuff, right?
Yeah. And then I was also at this time too is when I started working on music for film and television through this studio and was making money from that. And so I was just like
Ballin'.
I was like in a really stoked spot.
And then when did you leave? Or like, why did you leave? Couldn't you still be doing it today? Is Hamilton still on
Hamilton's
Broadway?
still going. Yeah,
Right.
it'll be going for many
long
years to
time.
come.
Right, yeah. Uh-huh.
I've done it for 5 years. By the end of that, I was sort of looking on the horizon, kind of thinking like, what's next? The year of 2019, I actually got an apartment out here in LA with a couple friends and was doing the back and forth thing to kind of like start to establish some roots out here, just because I knew I was eventually going to be moving to LA for the long haul. Didn't know when. And then COVID happened. And I was like, well, now is the when. After like a couple months of like, okay, this is like what this is going to be. And then found this studio and then have been out here it's been three and a half years or so since my last Hamilton performance.
And then what you been doing musically since?
So like I said, when I was in New York, I really got started in working on music for film and television and also producing records for artists and doing that. And really, with Hamilton, I played probably 1,500 shows, give or take, over the course of those 5 years. And so it was just like, it kind of like, I won't put it in a pessimistic way, it filled my hunger for performing.
Right.
I was like, I don't really feel that excited to
do the show
perform.
for the 1,500th and first time.
Yeah.
Right.
And really,
also it's
any
supposed to
show.
be exactly the same every time, by definition. So it doesn't-
particularly this book, this chair.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm really like done performing, and I love being in the studio. I love writing. I love producing. I love bringing things in those mediums to life. And so, I mean, I've really been since then working on various film and TV things. I mean, Bren and I have written music for Cocomelon. I've done music for movies like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I've written a bunch of music for advertisement. I've written a bunch of music for various TV shows, Sesame Street, 48 Hours.
And you just put out your first song as an artiste.
Yeah, just finally did that. I did a orchestral cinematic take on Coldplay's Fix You. Everybody go listen to it.
Great song.
Is it on
Definitely going
Spotify?
to be doing more. It's on Spotify, YouTube, it's wherever.
Under what artist name are you using?
Benny Reiner.
Reiner.
Yeah.
Dope.
Me in my government identity. And going to be doing more of that. We started a record label, Rockosaurus Records, back in 2018, right about 6 years ago. And we've put out a number of projects on that. Going to have more of that coming out. We've put out music from everybody in here.
Everybody in the room.
Ursa Major Revelation. Go check it out, everybody. Fucking dope ass shit. Brennan Valines. Everything is all Rockosaurus. And we're going to keep more coming.
And our podcast that we've started is just kind of like we've just experienced. It's going to be just shooting the shit. Obviously, these are sort of introductory episodes that we're doing, a little bit about us.
I think we should just do every episode on Benny.
Absolutely.
Deeper and deeper
Just get
and
in there.
I've got some darkness we can get into.
Yeah.
It'd be real interesting.
Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
interesting. We can make them recurring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is basically this is like my therapy. This is like my introduction therapy with my therapist.
But are you also in therapy?
I am.
Right.
Yeah. And
Nice.
just started Lexapro,
Yeah, just
doing
started some
good.
Lexapro. That's been-
Shout out Lexapro.
How's that hitting?
Big
It's
Pharma.
been good. It's
Nice.
been good. It's
Sweet.
been
Yeah.
really great.
Well, he's crushing it up and snorting it.
Oh,
but
yeah,
we're trying to.
So it hits pretty
get
hard.
back. Yeah.
We're easing into it.
He's chewing on them like Tic Tacs.
Yeah. Well, I'm proud of you, Benny. I think you're doing great.
Yeah.
You know?
Thank you, bro. I much appreciate
Keep
it.
it up.
I self-medicated. So I eventually did not stay sober. I got very into smoking weed.
What was the first intoxicating substance that you imbibed?
Marijuana.
Marijuana. And were you stoned
Not
out
even
of
alcohol?
your gourd?
Not even alcohol.
Wow. Yeah, that's wacky.
That is weird.
Yeah. And how stoned did you get? Were you like
Oh my
touching the
God.
sky?
I wish I could get that high.
Where were you at? Tell me this
So
story.
this is a good story. me and Sapphire, who I was mentioning earlier, and our other buddy Jimmy, we had this like electronic trio for a little bit. And there was like this man, not even a quote unquote manager. He was not a manager. He was like some kid in college.
I mean, wannabe manager.
None of them are
Yeah, they're
really
managers. Yeah.
And he was like, they were like, yeah, he's like, you guys should come down to DC. We'll show you around. We'll introduce you to people. There was like some hip hop show we were going to go to that we couldn't get in. It was like, but we went down there. Because everybody was smoking a bunch of weed and I was still sober. All these guys and we were down there. I've been toying with the idea. I was like, oh, I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. Why not? Like, let's give it a go. And so we're at somebody's crib and they pull out that volcano
Oh,
vaporizer, like the big bag that
Yep.
fills up. Did that, didn't feel anything.
Right.
And then they were like, we're getting you high. Like you were going to get high.
yeah.
And so then they go and pull out the bong.
Oh,
yeah.
And
straight to the hard stuff.
And I hit the
Yeah.
bong and I was
Yeah.
fucking cue up Pink Floyd. I was
Yeah.
out of here. I was gone.
Did you love it? Or
It was really fun.
Right,
I was
uh-huh.
cracking. I was high for probably a good 36 hours. Like I
Wow.
remember
Wow.
waking
Yeah.
up the next day, like still
Yeah.
super looped out.
Your cannabinoid receptors were like, ooh.
Yeah, I was. That's when the girls were the self-medication before that. That's when it
Yeah.
transferred over
Yeah.
to the weed.
I'm not sure which one's healthier.
Yeah.
Moderation in all things.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I've never developed a tolerance for it. Even as smoking weed or using marijuana regularly through certain periods of my life, same level of high every time. The California space weed that we have out here is just another level from what I used to smoke dirt weed in Memphis. And that I could smoke a whole bowl of and be like, fine. Out here, I'll go buy one joint here and have a puff to 3 max. And if I get to 3, it's almost a little too far.
I'm going straight to yogurt land.
Yeah, going straight to yogurt land. But I'm really happy they've just announced. They've just released, or at least this may not be a new thing, but it's new to me. THC V or N or something. It's or TVN maybe, and it's takes away the hunger or the your
No way.
Yeah.
I never got the munchies, really.
Oh God.
Not really.
Yeah.
Are you sure you were smoking weed?
Yeah.
I mean, good.
Smoked a fair few pounds in
Yeah.
my day.
I would stay up all night just eating. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
And do like the savory, sweet, back and forth thing. Be like,
Absolutely.
oh, I just need some potato chips. Oh, I just need to eat the Snickers bar. Like, oh,
Absolutely.
now I need to eat like a cheese sandwich, you know?
I forget which compound or which letter it is, but
I gotta check this out.
I did that recently. I took a gummy and I was like, nope.
It's not Delta 9 or whatever?
No, it's THC with some other letter on it.
All right.
There's THCN or V. One of them's more for sleep. One of them removes the. They figured out whatever thing to take out for your munchies, which
Right.
I think is amazing.
And did you ever play Hamilton gigs stoned?
Not entirely. I did play one time because what I would do, because I became a pretty big stoner.
Those first few years I would kind of smoke off and on, but then particularly once I started having a little bit of money where I could buy it, I started smoke. And I also the first time I smoked weed making music, I was like, I can't remember the chord that I played 2 seconds ago. And so it was really hard at first, but then I kind of passed that and I really loved making music stoned.
Yeah.
I kind of, this isn't entirely true, I know, but like my ability to really successfully get a handle on mixing, I kind of credit a little bit to weed.
Interesting.
Just because I could get into hearing it a little further.
Yeah. I hear that.
And so really got really into it. And so what I would do is I had a cutoff during the day where it's like, okay, I like can't smoke 3 hours before the show because like it is a really stressful show to play just musically. Like there's a lot happening.
Yeah. There's a lot of people there.
A lot of
on
people
your
there.
shoulders,
There's
too.
a lot on this book. Like there's like lighting cues that I'm hitting off with MIDI signal, and like there's like a lot of pressure on this particular book too. And I'd never have been good about playing stoned. Like it's not.
Especially when the stakes are that high.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel comfortable to me. I've played a million shows stone, but for some reason Broadway would give me the yips. I don't think I would feel comfortable also. Because also, if you're late on a cue like 1 second, it's going to be really weird out there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And particularly, And so I always had a cutoff, but what I would sometimes, but then I would smoke after most shows. But sometimes what I would do is I would bring an edible, and I would time it. Actually, no, this isn't the story that I'm thinking of. But what I would do with the edibles, I'd sometimes time it to where like it would hit like right at the end
the
of
refrain.
The show. But there's one time I did smoke. It was a 2-show day because on Saturdays and Wednesdays we would have a show, a matinee and an evening show.
I hated doing 2-show days. Everybody hates doing 2-show days.
Yeah.
But want to make that money. And so one day I smoked too late in between the shows. It's 3 hours in between the shows, and smoked probably an hour and a half point. And I got back and I was lit.
Yeah.
I was lit. And I was like, all right, here we go. Here we go. And made it through. It was all good. But like I was kind of cracking up like in certain moments.
Yeah.
Like I was like sort of.
Has anyone ever fucked up at a Hamilton show? Is there ever a moment that you can recall?
I've fucked up
But
almost every spot.
anytime you could recall where it was like really notable and people were like, whoa.
So
like,
everybody
dude.
screws up, and
Yeah.
that's not bad. Everybody accepts that the mistakes happen. Everybody expects that that's going to happen. When it's bad is like when it's becoming unrecoverable.
Right. If like a beat gets turned around.
I mean,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
but that can be recovered
Right.
fairly quickly. I remember though there was this one time a guitar sub came in and was just like royally fucking up, like consistently, like, and
the music director was just like, yo, like what's happening? Like you gotta pull this together, man. And ended up having to call the regular OG like in the middle of the show. It's like, we need you to get back here.
Wow.
And literally had to get the
Oh,
dude out,
embarrassing.
like,
Shit.
mid-show.
Wow.
Yeah. So those were less common. Like mistakes, sure.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
I've had some royal mistakes.
Yeah.
And they happen.
Yeah.
Like,
And
it's
people
like,
aren't going to notice if they're micro mistakes anyway. you
yeah,
know,
no, definitely not little things. But no, there was all sorts of moments up there.
But yeah, it was a big chapter. It changed my life in all of the ways.
Yeah.
And it'll be with me for the rest of my life. It'll be a thing that my kids will, it'll be a part of them. And
Yo, a big debt of gratitude to Bob Iger. So, you know.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob.
Who's Bob Iger?
He's the president of Disney.
Disney.
Oh, okay.
Sleazeball.
Iger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we do one of these for each of us.
Great.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to know us.
Absolutely.
Comes to love
And
us.
we get to know each other.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
And we'll do more of them too.
Yeah.
We'll do repeat
totally.
check-ins.
Well, we'll call it.
Nailed it.
Ben and Bren show.
Cut and print.
One
Thank you,
day,
guys.
we're all going to die soon, so enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Have a great
Have
day.
a yogurt.
Have
Right?
a yogurt.
Yeah.
Thank you. This episode has been sponsored by Yogurtland.
Thank you all.
Stuff you know and stuff you don't. It's the Ben and Bren Show.